Coming up on Network Africa. Council of Ministers in Gabon adopt sweeping amnesty order covering participants in the 2023 coup and a failed 2019 conspiracy attempt. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa calls on investors to prioritize water as a critical area for investment. Plus, Cabo Verde declares a state of emergency on its islands of São Vicente and Santo Antão following deadly floods. Hello and welcome to Network Africa. Thank you for joining us. I'm Layo Olarinde. We begin in Gabon. In a move aimed at fostering national unity, the Council of Ministers has adopted a sweeping amnesty order, and it's covering participants in a 2023 failed coup and a failed 2019 conspiracy attempt. Well, following the adoption, the decision is expected to pave the way for the release of detained rebels, including high-profile figures, while the government also outlines economic reforms targeting growth, deficit reduction, and job protection for the Gabonese citizen. The newly approved amnesty order applies to members of the Committee for the Transition and Restoration of Institutions, which ousted former President Ali Bongo in August 2023, as well as those involved in the botched 2019 coup attempt. The government has framed the decision as a step towards appeasement and national reconciliation, signaling a definitive end to years of political instability in the country. The U.S. State Department has issued a bleak report on Ethiopia's human rights record in 2024, detailing extrajudicial killings, torture, and mass detentions. Well, the report, based on findings from Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International, says the country remains plagued by conflict despite the end of the Tigray War in 2022. It cites widespread civilian killings, ethnic cleansing, sexual violence, and looting, particularly in the Amhara region. At least 1,351 civilians are said to have been killed between January 2023 and January 2024. In Uganda, experts, including the Commissioner of the Department of Refugees, Patrick Okello, is warning that the country is on the brink of a humanitarian emergency following cuts in aid funding, even as it prepares to host a record 2 million refugees by the end of 2025. Since the beginning of this year, an average of 600 people have been arriving in Uganda each day, fleeing conflicts in Sudan, South Sudan, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, a pace that is set could push the refugee population to 2 million. Well, reports indicate that Uganda is currently home to 1.93 million refugees, more than half of whom are under the age of 18, making it the largest refugee hosting country in Africa and the third largest globally. Meanwhile, UNHCR is calling for more urgent, sustainable international support and solidarity, including from development organizations, to be able to ensure a safe and dignified life for refugees and the communities that host them.
Refugees, first of all, should not necessarily be viewed as a challenge to the economy. The refugees should not be looked at as a burden because they also make some contributions. The refugees, on a positive note, are involved in productive activities. Refugees can start businesses. They are given the opportunity to participate in employment. The refugees pay taxes. But of course, on the other hand, hosting refugees comes with a number of challenges. One, it puts a lot of pressure on the health services, on education services, on the infrastructure, and even on the environment. The refugees are a product of insecurity and persecution, together with instability in their countries of origin.
Well, let's shift focus now to South Africa, where President Cyril Ramaphosa has called on investors to prioritize water as a critical area for investment. Speaking at the African Union AIP Water Investment Summit in Cape Town, the president emphasized the urgent need to elevate water security on the global development agenda. He describes the summit as a platform to connect governments with financiers and drive strategic partnerships for long-term water infrastructure solutions.
We are gathered here at this summit with 4 clear goals. Firstly, to endorse a summit declaration that commits us to scale up investments, to improve governance, and to increase accountability in the water sector. And underline, to increase accountability. Secondly, we are also gathered here to showcase a pipeline of 80 priority investment projects from 38 countries. Thirdly, to facilitate matchmaking between governments, financiers, and various partners. And fourthly, we are also gathered here to position water at the highest level of the global political and financial agenda, from G20 and COP30 to the UN 2026 Water Conference.
Meanwhile, King Mswati III, that's the King of Eswatini, and President of Botswana, Duma Boko, also addressed the summit, speaking on the initiatives and projects both countries are focused on that will lead to the realization of sustainable management and utilization of water resources.
The preliminary investment required for our national potable water, sanitation, and hygiene wash master plan is estimated to be around $2 billion. These projects are designed to enhance access to clean water, improve sanitation, strengthen climate resilience, and unlock economic opportunities across multiple sectors. To achieve these ambitions, we appeal to development partners, financial institutions, private investors, and multilateral institutions to join us, as these projects require a lot of funding.
The Botswana government is focusing on initiatives that will lead to the realization of sustainable management and utilization of water resources, water supply, and sanitation service delivery. These are essential for the growth of the economy. Sustainability in the management of water resources requires extensive investment in the development of water resources, in planning, infrastructure development, and the protection of water resources. Botswana shares most of the river systems with riparian countries, Zambia, Namibia, and maintaining international water relations is an important element in ensuring water security as well as building mutual cooperation.
Well, joining us now for more on this is our correspondent in South Africa, Innocent Samosa. Hello, Innocent.
Good evening, colleague, and greetings to you and our viewers around the world.
Well, at this summit, what were the key takeaways from this African Union-led water investment summit that is still ongoing in Cape Town?
Yeah, indeed, colleague. It comes at the time when really the issues of water in the continent is a challenge. In fact, we do know that the shortfall for the continent runs around $30 billion. That's a lot of money. And when you look at South Africa, the issues around infrastructure deficit when you speak about water. It runs into hundreds of billions of rands. But we do know that the conference was not really about the shortfall of the issues of water in the continent. They were there to basically, galvanize investment to the issues of water, not only South Africa, but in the continent as a whole. But the issues that stood out for me, colleague, going back to your question, I mean, President Ramaphosa, in his speech, the word accountability came out 3 times. That shows that in the municipalities in South Africa, there is lack of accountability when you speak about municipal infrastructure, because there's really no accountability. That's all I can say. So that's why he was stressing the fact that there's a need for accountability.
All
yes,
right,
colleague?
Innocent. And we know, there are communities that are in drought areas that have been affected by drought, and rural areas. How are they likely to be impacted by, this water infrastructure investments if and when they materialize?
Yeah, indeed. And I like your last part of the question, if and when it does materialize, because in fact, the delegates there, some of them are saying that they don't want this to just be another talk shop, because the issue that we faced with here, Layo, is the issues around continuity of the previous one that we had. What are some of the things that they've done in terms of the resolution that were tabled before? We've not had anything. It does seem as though they're looking at new resolutions, but leaving the ones behind. So I guess there's a need for a continuity of the issues. And again, I would really echo the words of some delegates to say that it should not be another talk shop. But again, if it does materialize, it will go a long way. I mean, you're looking at South Africa, whereby around 45% of people are still without clean drinking water. And I mean, in over 35 years in democracy, and we still have these challenges. So it does seem as though there's a need for more investment. And again, what the president was saying, there's a need for accountability. But indeed, if it does come through, it will go a long way in helping a lot of communities, particularly the ones that are endowed with the issues of drought. Layo?
All right then, Innocent Samosa, thank you so much.
Thank you, colleague.
While staying in South Africa, the Department of Health in the Eastern Cape province has confirmed that 131 learners from the Gobi Sizwe Agricultural School have been hospitalized following a suspected case of food poisoning. According to the Department of Health, learners experienced cramps, dizziness, and vomiting after consuming food at school. Some who were in serious conditions were airlifted to the hospital. On the incident comes amid growing concerns over food safety in South Africa. A few months ago, children died in Soweto, Johannesburg, after consuming contaminated food. Welcome back to the program. Cabo Verde has declared a state of emergency on the islands of São Vicente and Santo Antão after deadly floods, which killed at least 9 people and forced 1,500 others from their homes. The state of emergency activates crisis funds and urgent infrastructure repairs in the Atlantic Ocean islands off the west coast of Africa. Monday's flash floods were triggered by Tropical Storm Erin, leading to 7.6 inches of rain in just 5 hours, far above São Vicente's annual average. Deputy Prime Minister Olavo Correia describes the floods as catastrophic. In the meantime, search is still underway by rescue teams for missing people, while roads, homes and vehicles have been severely damaged. The World Food Programme is calling for humanitarian access to El Fasher in North Darfur in Sudan. That region is facing starvation and remains cut off from humanitarian assistance. When addressing journalists in New York, UN spokesperson Stephen Dujarric says in August of 2024, famine was confirmed in Zamzam camp and has since spread to areas in Darfur and Kordofan. And currently, 17 areas are classified as at risk of famine, including parts of Darfur, the Nuba Mountains, Khartoum, and Gezira. According to the WFP, Mr. Dujarric says the situation has only gotten worse, and as a coping mechanism, some residents are reportedly surviving on animal fodder and food waste. He expresses concern about the ongoing conflict between the army and paramilitary rapid support forces and urges all parties to end the violence and resolve to dialogue to put the interest of their people first.
A year ago, in August of 2024, famine was confirmed in the Zamzam camp and has since spread to areas in Darfur and Kordofan. Currently, 17 areas are classified as at risk of famine, including parts of Darfur, the Nuba Mountains, Khartoum, and Jazeera. Since then, the situation, especially in El Fasher, has only gotten worse, as we've been telling you almost on a daily basis. Our friends at the World Food Program today called for humanitarian access to El Fasher that is facing starvation and remains cut off from humanitarian assistance. World Food Program says that as a coping mechanism, some residents of the area are reportedly surviving on animal fodder and food waste. The World Food Program continues to provide digital cash support to roughly 250,000 people in the city, allowing them to buy the dwindling food left in the markets. However, the escalating needs make it imperative to address the hunger situation at a scale that is actually required. We reiterate our concern about the ongoing conflict and renew our calls for all parties to end the violence and resolve the dialogue and to put the interests of their people first.
In South Sudan, a new mobile court has been deployed to the Cabo area with the assistance of the UN mission in the country, Reconciliation, Stabilization, Resilience Trust Fund, to help combat its historical impunity. This marks the second time a mobile court has been deployed to the Greater Cabo administrative area this year. The region is rich with vibrant cultural traditions and history. However, a more toxic and deadly shared experience is the phenomenon such as sexual violence and child abduction, which is also seen as a major source of conflict between communities. And also, too often, the perpetrators of crimes such as these go unpunished. Well, over 4 weeks, the court has been able to adjudicate 16 complex criminal cases, resulting in the conviction of 5 offenders. Another 10 civil cases, mostly related to land disputes, which are often a major source of tension and conflict, are underway. Meanwhile, the UN mission in South Sudan says it's building a new courthouse to address the dire state of existing infrastructure, also advocating for investment in a new prison and functioning police stations.
There is an increase of the people trusting the justice system, people coming forward with the cases to the justice. It is a great success for the entire, the judiciary, the judges, the lawyers, and I think that is the way we have to move forward, and we have to keep that momentum ongoing, because the judiciary, the justice system is necessary, and it is a paramount for a sustainable peace and the development for any society.
The last person here, he murdered somebody, then they came to the police. They report their issue, and they brought the suspect to the court. Yeah. So, UNMISS, with the initiative of supporting the mobile court, it has helped the people of South Sudan a lot. Yeah, because it has saved the life of many. Because when the generation like here in the people area, when they go there, the casualties can go up because they just use the guns.
Now, most of the cases now has been handled by the courts, according to the issues of the law. So nobody now, I believe, nobody will be returning back to take his or her rights by the using of the hands, in terms of the revenge, in terms of what. Because the court now has the jurisdiction, and it is playing a very important role in the issue of the resolve the cases.
Here in Nigeria, the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has unveiled the pilot phase of its innovative Identifier project, a comprehensive digital addressing system designed to streamline geographic house numbering and street naming across the state. Speaking after the unveiling, the State Special Advisor on Electronic Geographic Information System and Urban Development, Mr. Olajide Babatunde, says the project, which will kick off in Ikeja, the state capital, is aimed at providing a unique digital identity to every property, enhancing navigation, service delivery, and overall urban management of the state. He also says the digital house numbering will play a crucial role in facilitating seamless navigation for emergency responders.
House numbering has to do with ownership. Documentation has to do with ownership. So one of the byproducts of titling and documentation in land administration is also house numbering and digital addressing system. So this is a digital addressing system. You know, Mr. Governor has just been to this stand and looked at it. This is number one Governor's Drive. This is part of technology, as he has told you. At the back end, we have all the information that we can share with the public. You can scan the QR code and you get the information on that land, particularly the bills and some of the other important information that we may need to know, like whether the building has an approval or not. Between the new one and the old one, there's no difference. The only difference is the fact that there's now technology. We're now in the age of technology. It's a continuous process. We will not stop until we number every house in Lagos. In Ikeja district, where we are starting, we have over 23,000 properties in Ikeja alone. And the plan, if you talk to Lalu standing by my side, is to finish that whole project. You understand, the 23,000 in about 2 months. And then we move to the next local government. But it is a continuous process in the sense that when we have property subdivision and a couple of other things, we always have to come back, to correct the numbering, because then you now have A and B and we need to now number them properly.
As we wind down on the program, the Central African Republic has celebrated its 65th anniversary of independence from France, and it's with a military parade in the capital city of Bangui. According to Wharton Forest Battalion Lieutenant Ella Dubuya, the celebration shows the Army's patriotism for the country. With the French Army's departure and years of Russian presence, the Central African Republic's government says it now sees progress towards a functional, unified military. However, authorities also acknowledge the long-standing need for a modern army, noting its ongoing reorganization and strengthening process. And as we end the program today, here's our fun fact about the continent. Did you know that Morocco is home to the oldest university in the world, the University of Al-Qarawiyyin? It was originally founded as a mosque in 859 AD in the city of Fez by Fatima Al-Fihri and is recognized by Guinness World Records and also UNESCO as the oldest continuously operating degree-granting university. And that's in Morocco. Well, if you didn't know, now you know. Well, that's the program for today. Thank you for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.